Now Glitterman will take his spot in the field of 14. There's a quarter-mile run before the first turn here at Belmont Park. DeJour has never run on dirt. Indeed, he has never raced around a turn. And yet, by just a few dollars, is the post-time favorite in this race. Glitterman walking a bit, but now we're ready for a start for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Ending in good order.
Wait a second here, Frank. Wait a second.
And they're off. And Safely Kept goes right to the lead. The filly champion quickly opens up here by 2 lengths. And on the far outside, DeJour is right there, and Glitterman is also mixing it up. DeJour mixing it up now with his American rivals. Carson City is up close to the pace. He's running along in 4th position. Potentiality is 5th. Dargai is now racing in 6th position. Mr. Nickerson has fallen. We have a spill on the turn. Shakernit went down, and Mr. Nickerson also down on the track. Spill on the far turn, and now the field moving toward the top of the stretch. It's DeJour fighting it out with last year's champion, Safely Kept. The English champion now has taken a short lead as they come to the top of the stretch. Safely Kept is right there in behind them. Glitterman is now running along in 3rd. Black Tie Affair sweeps to the outside. Then Prospectors Gamble and Carson City. They hooked up at the start. They're still going at it. Safely Kept on the inside. Brave down to the final furlong. On the outside, DeJour, and neither giving way. A dramatic confrontation here as they come down to the final 16th. And it is DeJour who forges to the front. Safely Kept coming back at him, and DeJour took a bad step 10 feet from the wire, and Safely Kept comes on to snatch the victory in the final stride in this Breeders' Cup Sprint, which was marred by an accident as the field moved into the far turn. We will have an inquiry into this race. Shakernit went down, and I believe it was also Mr. Nickerson. Those 2 horses have fallen as they move on to the far turn. Unofficially here, it is Safely Kept in the sprint.
An incredible start of this $1 Million Day. 2 horses are down. We'll follow that story. Safely Kept appeared to be beaten by DeJour, and DeJour stumbles, just strides from the line, and Safely Kept, the only filly in the race, has won this $1 Million Sprint, just as she nearly won last year when Dancing Spree caught her from behind. Black Tie Affair takes 3rd. Safely Kept, owned by Barry Weisbord and JFB Stable, has won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Down to Tom Hammond now, and he'll examine the accident.
Well, let's look at the spill and see if we can find out what happened. Shakernit, you see, goes down right there. And Mr. Nickerson then stumbles over the fallen horse, we believe. We didn't get a very good shot. We could only see the one horse go down there on the back stretch. Now, as we move to the stretch run, though, the 2 speedballs, DeJour on the outside, Safely Kept on the rail. DeJour gets ahead in front and seems to be on his way to victory. Willie Carson hits him a couple of times right-handed, but Safely Kept comes right back as DeJour jumped a shadow. DeJour jumped a shadow on the dirt track. He took that funny step and enabled Safely Kept to come back and get the win. Safely Kept to the wire in front, and I believe it was the shadow on the track that cost DeJour the victory. Dick?
Boy, a touch of everything, and that one is Safely Kept, aided by a shadow. A New York shadow defeats DeJour's bid to be the world's fastest, not just Europe's. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station. We're back live at Belmont Park. This is Chris Adley, the jockey aboard. Mr. Nickerson, just moments aboard, placed on a backboard, did not appear to be conscious. He was the jockey on Mr. Nickerson and thrown. No report yet, but as soon as we receive one on Adley, the 24-year-old New York rider, we'll pass that along to you. So the autumn shadows, we had trouble yesterday. 2 horses broke down in the racing here at Belmont. But on the positive side, the winner Safely Kept, the only filly in the field, has won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's go back to Tom Hammond.
And here's the spill again, and it's Mr. Nickerson that sort of leaps in the air right there and then goes down. Chris Adley thrown in the air and hit the track very hard as he came down, and we saw him leave in the ambulance. Meanwhile, DeJour on the outside. Look at him jump that shadow. He jumps the shadow, and that costs him the victory as Safely Kept comes back to win at the wire. Remember, Des Jours has been running on turf races in Europe on the dirt track, and seeing a shadow right there perhaps cost him the win. Bob Newmeyer.
Well, a contrast in emotions here in the winner's circle. Obviously, Craig Perret and his people are delirious, not so jockey Willie Carson. Willie, let's talk about this race in 2 stages. First of all, the starting gate. Des Jours, known for his blazing speed, you seem to get off a half step slow. True?
Well, that's him. After he's gone 3 strides, he's usually in front. In Europe, these are very fast horses. But I could have made the running if I'd wanted to, but if we're going too fast as it was to get home. And then I had to race one. I was being a bit, well, I wasn't going all out with him because he's better at 5 furlongs than 6. So I was just being a bit careful with him so that he would get to the other end. And of course I was going away the last 100 yards and he jumped.
He appeared to jump the photo finish shadow, Willie, that appears over.
If you look, there's 50 yards, 100 yards before the line. There's another shadow. And he's jumped out and lost the race there. And then he's jumped the wire after.
Had that ever happened to him before at any point in his career?
Actually, the last time he ran, he lost concentration. He won so easy, and he jumped a shadow at Longchamp. He's the best horse.
Tough luck, Willie.
Yeah, it's tough luck. We don't get the money. We've got the best horse.
Okay, let's go to Jenny.
Well, Safely Kept has reclaimed her title again. A kind of marred race here, Alan Goldberg, but a game filly.
Yeah, well, what we wanted to do last week, we tried to rate her, and we had her good and tight, and I might have just done a little too much with her. She's a big filly, but she doesn't need a whole lot of training. We backed up her on this week. She showed speed, and it seems like once she gets in front of a horse, she's awful game to let a horse go by. And that was the plan today, go to the front. We had a real good post position. She broke good, and I saw the other horse bobble around the 16th pole, but I still don't think he was going to go by. I mean, she was dead game.
Well, something he did in France, Des Jours, and congratulations to you. We'll take a look at the unofficial results for this sprint. Let's go back to Dickenberg.
All right, Jenny, Safely Kept. Unlucky to lose last year, lucky to win today. Des Jours from Europe is second, and Black Tie Affair, the unofficial results in 109 and 3. Tom?
All right, Safely Kept, a winner over Des Jours and Black Tie Affair. And here to present the trophy for the Breeders' Cup Sprint is Mr. Ted Bassett, the president of Breeders' Cup Limited.
Congratulations, gentlemen. What a beautiful race and what a beautiful ride you had. One of the most competitive sprints we've seen in a decade. Best wishes for future races.
Thank you very much.
The JFB Stable and Barry Weisbord, the owners of Safely Kept, Craig Perret and Alan Goldberg here, the winning group. Gentlemen, while I have you here, Craig, maybe we can take a look at the last few strides of the race. It appeared that Des Jours had passed you on the outside and then jumped a shadow, enabling you to come back. Did you know that was what happened?
Well, you know, my filly was hanging in there tough with him, and he had me best the last 40 yards. He got by her, and my filly kept hanging into him, but he seemed to see the light from the mirror, and he had propped for a second, and when he did, my filly had to jump on him, and it was all over. I'm glad he jumped it today anyway.
All right, the reigning champion sprinter, Safely Kept, perhaps an Eclipse Award winner again in 1990. Dick?
All right, Tom, the 2 horses are still down, Shaker Net and Mr. Nickerson. And now it is official. Safely Kept 26, 48, 20, and 580. Des Jours 560 to place and 4 to show. Black Tie Affair. His supporters pick up 1380 for the show, and the Exacta pays 181 and change. Well, last year at Gulfstream, the juvenile fillies winner, Go for One. She's back this year as a 3-year-old in the distaff, where a win today against older fillies and mares would attract attention for the horse of the year. For our top Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies race, we go back 2 years to Louisville. The best of the juvenile fillies.